There are lots of things about running Breath of the Wild that runners take for granted but that look odd to new viewers. There's plenty of valid questions, so I'm gonna attempt to answer the most frequently asked ones. This will be very basic and mostly cover questions that usually get asked in the beginning of the run on the plateau, so I hope this can clear some stuff up. Because of the way loading works in this game, if you do certain things, you can make the initial cutscene of Link waking up shorter, which is called preloading. Because of new discoveries that are a bit too lengthy to explain here, preloading is now banned and timing starts when you gain control of Link, a bit more than a minute into the new game. It's common to see runners playing on German or French, which are the two fastest languages, with German being only slightly faster than French. This is because of the voice acting. A patch was introduced that allow you to choose what dub you want, but since the text speed corresponding to the dub is based on your system language, you have to change that to actually save time. The Switch is region-free and can be set to any language, but the Wii U has a set number of languages to choose from based on your region, so for example, an NTSC Wii U can't use German and has to settle for French. The easiest way to tell what console someone is using is by looking at the upper left corner of the screen. If the quick menu has a D-pad symbol, you're playing on Wii U. If the symbol is 4 buttons, they're playing on Switch, and the buttons replicate the D-pad on the Joy-Cons. The differences between the consoles are small enough to not be separate on the leaderboards yet, but there's still some small version differences. The Wii U has faster load times than the Switch, so it's preferable for runs. However, the Wii U also has a bigger tendency to soft lock or get panic blood moves, which happen when the game fills up the RAM and has to flush some memory to make room for new data, which is pretty unfortunate. The Switch has much less lag on the other hand, so some setups are a bit different. Whistling while mashing B allows you to keep running at almost the same speed as regular sprinting, but it doesn't use up any stamina. We call this whistle sprinting. This is extremely useful and also allows us to climb some slopes that are usually too steep to run up. By waiting for the camera to start panning before we press X to skip the cutscene, we actually save about 5 seconds per shrine exit. This is because the game starts loading the overworld during the end of the cutscene, which is a different map from every separate shrine and allows us to get a faster load back to the plateau map. This is a bit complicated to explain, so I'll direct you to my previous video about launching if you're really curious. Basically, by bombing ourselves, we reset a glitch state Link was in to get something called ragdoll state, which we need to be in order to perform launches after plateau. This is also a good place to mention one-hit protection. If Link is at full health and takes damage from something that would normally kill him, he'll survive with a quarter heart. This is why it's safe to bomb ourselves without any real penalty, since finishing a shrine heals us to full health. One-hit protection doesn't exist on Master Mode. Practice! Jumping after hitting an enemy cancels the animation of Link finishing the attack, which means you can move away from it earlier. Outside of the shrines where we get bombs, there's lots of dormant guardians. They have a cutscene trigger surrounding them, which means that if you enter their line of sight, a cutscene of them waking up will play, which waits about 7 seconds. To avoid this cutscene, we shoot the guardian to wake it up before it sees us. On a new file on the plateau, the first time you open a map or scope, it will play an animation where Link pulls the Sheikah Slate out. This only plays before you get off plateau, and we want to avoid those cutscenes to save a few seconds. To skip the pausing cutscenes, we can jump and pause in the air to avoid the cutscene, and we can crouch to avoid the scope cutscene. That's everything I can think of for now. I hope this cleared some questions up about the very small details people might be confused about. Thanks a bunch for watching, and I'll come up with some new video subjects.